Hello, Dr. Decency. A huge honor to have you on the podcast. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Akash, and everybody else watching. I'm Decency, and I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm also a clinical hypnotherapist and an NLP practitioner, and I'm a consultant at Viman's Hospital.
Mhm.
That's it in a
Hi.
nutshell.
So, the topic we are going to talk on today is hypnotherapy. So, let's start with
Yes.
the basic of what is hypnotherapy.
So, generally, let's talk generally about hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy is just simply using of trance or uh,
Mm-hmm.
the state of trance for the purpose of therapy.
Right.
Okay. So we see in general in media that hypnotherapy they can make you do anything, or you're at the mercy of the person who's performing hypnosis for
Mm-hmm.
you and everything like that. So it is not such at all. Firstly, it's not that at all. It is
Mm-hmm.
just using the form of trance and hypnosis for the purpose of therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And the purpose is always healing, or the purpose is always towards therapy, not something like a stage show or something
Right.
to be in control or any of such things. It's towards resolution of things. And the first thing that I always want to say about hypnotherapy is you are always 100% in control. You know what you're going to say, you know what you're feeling, you
Mm-hmm.
absolutely remember things.
Right.
ऐसा नहीं है कि आप भूल जाओगे, या many people ask me this, that will I tell things that I don't want to say? Will I tell you my deepest, darkest secrets? So it's not that at all.
Mm-hmm.
You will only talk what you want to talk. You will only talk about things that you want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
You will only be able to. The only difference is that in normal therapy, in conversational therapy, or in CBT, or in any other talk-based therapy and hypnotherapy, is that hypnotherapy has a little more relaxed conscious state.
Right.
All right. So it's not magic at all,
Right.
definitely. So keeping in mind that, then we understand hypnotherapy is better. It's like any other therapy modality.
Mm-hmm.
It just has different modules because it believes in the unconscious, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because all of us know that the power of the unconscious mind is immense.
Right.
There are so many things you remember that you don't think you remember.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things you know that you think you don't know. But you have all that memory stored into your unconscious,
Mm-hmm.
because conscious can only hold so much, right?
Right.
Learned behaviors or anything, you can only hold so much. Even when we talk about, say, cognitive therapy, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we're talking about core beliefs, if you look at it from the perspective of hypnotherapy or the unconscious mind,
Mm-hmm.
the core belief is set in your unconscious mind,
Right.
right? It's not just set in your conscious mind. You're not
Mm-hmm.
always aware that I'm coming from this core belief until unless you're made aware of it, or you
Right.
learn that about yourself in therapy. So it is that, simply, in very simple terms, it is a therapy style which is done under trance or in a relaxed conscious state.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. That is all hypnotherapy is. Nothing too complicated, nothing too
Right.
scary, nothing too magicy.
Mm-hmm.
None of that. Yeah.
What about repressed memory? Can hypnotherapy help in retrieval of something you forgot or you suppressed?
It can. Yes, it can. Of course, it can. So, conscious mind is like a monkey mind, right?
Right. True.
So even though we are talking to each other right now,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, uh,
Mm-hmm.
even though we are talking to each other right now, your mind could go from what is my background to my mind could go from, oh, there's something in your background,
Right.
or all right, am I saying it right? Or your mind can go to, am I saying it right? Or okay, that person had said this to me, or should I include this? So there's a lot of not in the moment with our conscious mind, right? which also mindfulness talks about.
Yes.
So all that we're doing is we're calming the conscious mind. Okay, you're telling the conscious mind that it's okay, you can sit down, you can relax, and it's all right. And you can give up the control, you can give up the reins for a moment, and we can dig.
Right.
So all we are doing with hypnotherapy is, especially trance, when we talk about trance as a state, is that we are calming the conscious mind.
Right.
So to clarify, trance is just a sleep-like state, a relaxed, deeply relaxed state. You're completely conscious, you're completely aware, just that your conscious mind is really, really relaxed.
Right.
Say, for example, you're reading a very good book, right? And it must have happened with many people that you're reading something that is very entertaining, that you're really engrossed in, and somebody has called you and you've not noticed. Yeah, you're engrossed in something, and your phone is ringing, you've not noticed. That is literally trance. You're going off to sleep, and there's this sweet state of sleep where you don't want to, you can hear everything. You can, if you want to, you can speak, but you just don't feel like, because it's so relaxing. It's a little like that. So that is the state, and that's more relaxed state rather than any mystical state of absence of brain or anything of such.
Right.
So it just relaxation of conscious mind.
So apart from this relaxation of conscious, how is hypnotherapy different from CBT?
So when you talk about CBT, we are working on cognitive distortions. We're working on behaviors. So think of it as, say, if you divided therapy into therapy for unconscious and therapy for conscious. So CBT will be therapy for conscious, and hypnotherapy will be therapy for unconscious. In the layman's.
Can it help with the reconstruction of personality?
When you talk about personality, we're not talking about good or bad. We're not saying your personality is bad or my personality is bad or Falana's personality is very good, or we're not saying that. We're just saying that whoever we are, we want to be the best version of us.
Right.
So since he wants to be Decency's best version, or Akash wants to be Akash's best version. Akash cannot be Decency and Decency cannot be Akash. That will just be stupid.
Right.
Like, so you yourself, your past shapes you, your experiences shape you, and why would you take that away in the first place? Like, why would you take that away in the first place? All that has made you who you are. Yes, there could be some difficult scenarios. Yes, there could be some maladaptive behaviors. Yes, there could be some distorted cognitions. Yes, but we're looking at improving and updating them, not changing them. Not changing you, not changing the essence of you. So I don't believe in changing the essence at all. I always say that therapy is towards the better version of you, towards the version of you want. That's it. And trust me, sometimes what we want is not what we need. So it's really towards
that. Yeah.
So you might want ki acha, say if I say X person is 60 kgs today and they're like, my goal weight is 40. It might not be healthy for them, right? But their body stays at, say, 52-ish, which is a healthy weight for somebody in their height and, total parameters and everything. So, yeah, that is it. So, you're not aiming towards some idea this should be, that itself becomes difficult. So you're moving towards an idea of what you can be, what you would want from you. That's it. What should. So the personality the whole thing makes me think of,
Right.
it gives people a lot of shoots, and I
Mhm.
still don't agree with it. Maybe someday I'll change my mind, but not yet.
So, in terms of research, how effective is it?
See, that is where the issue is with
Mhm.
hypnotherapy. Not many people have worked on the research on hypnotherapy. So when you look for researchers, there's very scarce research.
Mhm.
Of course, there was a lot of work done by Brian Weiss, and in the earlier times, and there was a whole institute about it, and about regression and hypnotherapy and everything. And yes, there are books about it, but definitely there are not enough empirical researches about it. There's very few. Even though, at least in my personal experience, I have, uh, as far as I've experienced, hypnotherapy and anxiety works so well. Hypnotherapy for anxiety, be it panic, be it phobias,
Mhm.
be it you know severe anxiety. So it works really, really well for the whole anxiety spectrum.
Mhm.
But there are not enough researchers. There are literally not enough researchers. And that is why in our faculty, in amongst psychologists or
Mhm.
amongst even psychiatrists, it becomes a bit of a taboo, sort of, to use hypnotherapy or to talk about hypnotherapy, because it is almost staged as a magic trick,
Mhm.
something that is not real, but you know, you're just doing it as a trick kind of a thing, a facade kind of a thing. So, because of the lack of research that happens,
Right.
and it is also true that not enough psychologists work with it. So,
Mhm.
mostly when you will see hypnotherapists, they'll not be from, unfortunately, from psychology background, and so lack of research is true, very,
Right.
very true, and a very heartbreaking part of it. So that is that. Although new research is coming up, um, there have been papers on borderline personality and hypnotherapy,
Mhm.
anxiety and hypnotherapy, de-addiction and hypnotherapy. So
Mhm.
there have been few papers on these topics, but again, not enough.
Right.
Not enough to establish it as a proper therapy module and an empirically
Mhm.
based module.
Apart from hypnotherapy, what else is your specialization and how can one contact you?
Apart from hypnotherapy, cognitive behavior therapy. So
Mhm.
I practice a mix of cognitive behavior therapy with hypnotherapy. So the base of my work is CBT,
Mhm.
and then using hypnotherapy for, say, core beliefs, or if there's severe anxiety or any
Mhm.
such symptoms that can be relieved
Mhm.
by hypnotherapy, or trauma. So whenever I process trauma for somebody, I go the hypnotherapy route, because it processes trauma in a way better manner than any other therapy module that I've seen, worked, or studied. So I always rely on hypnotherapy for trauma. Now, other than that, I also function with NLP. That is very behavioral. So it combines itself into behavior therapy very easily.
Mhm.
So these are the three modules I generally practice.
Mhm. And how can one
Of
reach out to
course,
you?
DBT and everything. It's easy to reach out to me. Simply emails are better,
Mhm.
and otherwise, my phone number. So WhatsApp or email. And we can put it in the end.
Right. Right. Okay, so could you bust some myths related to hypnosis?
Yeah, definitely. That's my favorite. So, so the first one that I get asked is
Mhm.
if they'll remember anything.
Okay.
And I often say, yes, you'll remember everything.
Mhm.
And so it's not like you'll forget. what the session has been, or you won't remember what the session has been like. So, because everybody's worry is the loss of control, because that is how hypnosis is shown in the media, right? Ki, I'll do a snap and somebody will turn into something else and there'll be a, कुछ और करने लगेंगे, वो मुर्गा हो जाएंगे, कुछ और. So that is the biggest fear, that they lose control. But you don't. The reality is that you don't lose control at all. You know what you're talking about. You know what you're sharing. You are just sharing the depth of it, and with all the conscious, with all the understanding of what you're sharing. In fact, if there is something that you don't want to share, you don't need to. It's the point. Okay. So a therapist will never poke you around where you're not ready to share. Any good therapist will tell you it's okay if you don't want to share today. You can do it any other time whenever you feel like it. So there's no pushing around of कि अच्छा अब तो hypnotherapy में चलेंगे तो अब सब कुछ निकल के बाहर आ जाएगा. Like everything I think of will come out. ऐसा नहीं है. We work on topics, things. Yes, sometimes the unconscious chooses to go to a deeper topic, maybe because that is how your brain thinks it will work better for you. But you will never lose control of it. That's the biggest myth that people have, that you lose control, but you won't. Never ever lose control of hypnotherapy. The second thing is, people think that just when they go under therapy, so the therapist can suggest or make them do anything. Again, the control bit. That's also not true. कि कुछ भी कर, ऐसा नहीं है. The other bit is also that in case somebody goes into hypnotherapy and they're not brought out properly, so they'll always be in trance.
Achha.
That is also true. That is also not true, because it's literally like, if it has, it's simply, you can just sleep it off also.
Right.
That's all. So ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं. Then people are also scared कि hypnotherapist कुछ खिला देते हैं या पिला देते हैं या इसलिए trance हो जाता है. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. It is just a focus exercise. Simply, it's a simply focus exercise to improve your conscious focus. Actually, your conscious is focus, and just relax the conscious. That's it.
Right.
Very simple. It sounds very, very, magic tricky or hyped up or so many other things, but it's not. It's very simple, very effective. At the same time, it brings out a lot of feelings, memories, issues that we might not be seeing in cognitive therapy, or which we might be missing from cognitive therapy, because of simple that the person cannot access that reason or memory.
Right.
Not because that cognitive therapy cannot get to the deep end of it. It can, as much as you remember. But in cases of you can't remember the incidents and the incidents is affecting you, in that case, of course, hypnotherapy will work faster.
Right. So, in a therapeutic setting for hypnotherapy, do you prefer offline sessions or does online also work?
Oh no. With the kind of internet we have in India, I haven't risked online sessions for hypnotherapy, but people do function with online hypnotherapy. I don't personally do that. For hypnotherapy, I work with in-person session only. Other therapy modules are of the same effectiveness. So research suggests, be it DBT, CBT, SCBT, anything that you're using can be used for the same effectiveness as online or offline. But hypnotherapy, because a lot of reading of body language is involved, so I don't prefer it offline. First, that's a personal choice.
Okay. What is the scope of hypnotherapy in India?
It's two things together. Okay. So in a professional setting, scope is a lot, because it works very well. It works very well. in working out core beliefs. It works very well with deep-seated trauma. It works very well with phobias, fears, and everything. Even childhood issues. It works very well with all of that. Now, it depends in what kind of scope you're looking at. If you're looking at only hypnotherapy per se, then without the support of other therapy modules, then it has limited scope. But as you combine it with other therapy modules, say DBT, CBT, or ACT, any other cognitive or behavioral therapies, any of such, and then you work with it, then there is a very, very big scope for hypnotherapy in totality. Because at any day, even if we are using hypnotherapy, at any day, we are to be consciously choosing to behave a certain way, to think a certain way. It cannot be automatic. We cannot rely on कि किसी ने hypnotherapy perform कर लिया है तो ये कुछ ऐसा change हो गया. So it has to come into behavior, towards which cognitive behavior therapy or behavior experiments or cognitive experiments or thought experiments work wonders.
Right.
So if you aid it a little bit, and of course insight building is a big thing, right? So hence little bit of be it anything, be it cognitive behavior therapy, be it REBT, be it DBT, anything. But if you just do a little bit of padding of other therapies with it, then it brings out immense.
Right.
Yeah.
So if someone aspires to become a hypnotherapist, what all studies do they have to take?
I have a very different opinion of that. So maybe most people won't agree with it. But my opinion is, if you want to be a hypnotherapist, I would suggest studying psychology first. I would suggest understanding behavior first. I would suggest understanding in totality what cognition is, what behavior is. So not just randomly doing a course or something, but actually studying psychology. Now, if psychologists want to go and move into hypnotherapy, that's an easy route. CHI is there in India as a body for hypnotherapy, and they give trainings. So CHI does 3 levels of trainings: level 1, level 2, and level 3. So level 1 is mostly on self, level 2 is further on inner child work and regression and everything, and level 3 is further beyond. So these are all practices, plus they also make groups, peer discussions and everything, so that you can get better at it. So that is one good thing about it. So find a good trainer, I would say. Any psychologists that who would want to, or psychology students who would want to go into hypnotherapy, find a good trainer. Very good trainer, I would say. So a trainer who matches your ideology is better. Because, yeah.
So last question I would like to ask you: what is the correlation between hypnotherapy and smoking cessation?
Correlation or effect of
how can it
therapy?
work?
Yeah, it works. So there's actually good data that hypnotherapy works for any addiction type.
Okay.
Now, but there's the trick of motivation, right? So you cannot expect any therapy module to work till you want the outcome. So say, for example, you don't want to quit smoking at all, and just because somebody pushed you and somebody said कि अच्छा ठीक है तुमको कुछ नहीं करना पड़ेगा hypnotherapy जाके करना. So that is not 100% surety. There's a chance that it might help. There's a chance, but that is not 100% surety or any surety. But on the other hand, if you have a motivation towards action, then you go ahead and work with it. There are more chances of it being successful. and it has been successful. Research suggests that especially for smoking, it has been very, very successful. At times, there's also for alcohol and everything. So there's only much research for smoking that is enough, I would say. Quite a bit of research on smoking, not much on other substances. But yes, it works.
So, is the reason for success because there are some underlying issues usually involved with substance, and hypnotherapy can work on the trauma?
It's twofold. One is the suggestion bit, that
Right.
we can, and two, it is because you're also working with any deep-seated, I would say, fixations. So any fixations that you work with, so that helps. Because still when you talk about smoking, right? So you'll find oral fixation, you'll find issues over there in that age group. So you have the whole module for it to work towards. So if we start talking about it, then I'll take the whole hour to talk about how to do that.
Okay. So I'll just cut it here. It was a huge pleasure to have you. Thank you for sharing your insights.
I'm not a very good camera person.
Neither am I.
It's okay. Acha, so you're cutting it here, right?
Yeah, I'll just